this is just more information about the power of math journals. I'm not going to read all of that to you, but I do want to just continue to talk about like having documentation through portfolios. It's just a wonderful way to help kids see their growth, to help kids articulate their own learning, to help kids be able to have conversations with themselves, with you, their parents, if they have portfolios. And y'all, these were just yellow manila envelopes. I mean, you know, the folders and the green folders, what you call the green ones that?
Pendaflex folders.
What are they?
Pendaflex folders.
They're
Hanging
in the
folders?
hanging
Yeah.
folders. In the drawer, everybody had a name, and that's where their stuff went. I didn't have nothing fancy. I told you I taught at schools and, you know, we didn't have money. So I had to like figure stuff out. Promoting math talk, this is something that, you know, you could cut these out and post them, but this gives them, can you move this a little bit? This gives them, this gives you, and this gives them language. So here's, you know, can you explain, how do you know? What keywords told you? What strategy? What I heard you say was, and you're teaching your kids how to have these conversations with each other, right? But these are also questions that, you know, you can ask.
Can I share something on that?
Yeah.
One of our third grade teachers just shared the other day. She actually puts those on a key ring, and the students carry them around with them.
Oh, how wonderful is that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that would be
they
awesome.
take it with them everywhere, you know, when they're working in groups, so that they can have that
Yeah,
available to them.
yeah, it's kind of like lots of sentence stems in one place, but you can have them turn to you.
It's not like that. It's a little more student friendly, or
Okay.
third grade friendly. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. To disagree, I disagree because I think that's close. But what about, well, what if we tried, you know, I like how you, but I'm wondering if, you know, so these are some really powerful, you know, sentence stems that can promote this, you know, the idea of math talk. And stop me if you have like, you know, thoughts or questions. Questioning cards. You know, I use this little stuff because most of you guys have little people. But again, you know, these cards, you can cut these cards out. And like each table could have a set of cards that are kind of mixed in, and you might want to put them in that plastic stuff. What is that? Laminate. See, I've been in the classroom, sometimes I forget. But you can laminate those so that they'll hold for a bit, right? And then you could just have them randomly pick one, right? And then go with those questions. So how did you get that? Or what do you think? Okay. So that's trying to support with questions. And then we've talked about language demand of tasks. What kinds of supports will students need in order to do the tasks that you are asking them to do? I'm not gonna have you take a look back at your clip, but trying to figure out the cognitive demand of tasks. Like the things that you all have been doing is probably pretty low level in terms of cognitive demand, mainly because of the grade that you teach, but then it's like, how do you ramp that up? And so we've been talking all day about how ways you can ramp it up to make the cognitive demand a little bit more challenging, right? And one of those ways could be incorporating that writing into what you're already doing. Let's see, more vocabulary. I think you guys have this. So this is, y'all don't have it? Oh, okay. So that's kinder, first grade, second grade. Your kids should know these words. They should know the words, not just how to do them or what does it mean, what is greater than sign, or what does it mean to use greater than when a number is greater than or less than. They should know these words. They should be writing these words in sentences, right? This is how you're gonna make the cognitive demand more complex, is one way. centimeter, minutes, digital, clock. What's the difference between an analog clock and a digital clock? Right? They should know that. Meter stick, yard stick, we talked about that yard. There's some quadrilaterals, pentagons. So these terms, they should know these terms. Anything you want to say?
Well, we had talked about, emphasizing that teachers need to also use the terms
That's right.
instead of using, because sometimes I think we get into the habit of using referents, which are, which could be like kinds of pronouns, object nouns, object pronouns, what have you. You hear a lot of, what is this, or those, it and those and these, and you forget to use referents. So those are missed opportunities when you could be using the academic terms, because you're supposed to use the term first, the noun, and then you replace it with your, your pronoun, your object, pronoun or whatever.
So, and like, if you are, talking about shapes or whatever, and, you talk about this being, a corner, when you get to that and you know that that's like 90 degrees, using the actual, again, terms is really, really important. So just don't want to say that's a corner. Or I was trying to think about the vertices, and Nicole, or wasn't Nicole, Laura, who did the shape lesson again?
Erica.
I did.
Erica. So in your standards, you have what? Students should be able to, is it vertices? What is it about vertices?
Vertices, yeah.
And what's the other thing?
Sides.
Sides and vertices. And so Nicole, when you, Erica, when you are doing that lesson, how often are you using more like informal language versus like the actual terms? And like, how do you negotiate that? What does that look like for you? Do you understand what I'm asking?
So how often do I use academic language when I'm teaching?
I'm thinking about that particular lesson, like this lesson you're going to be talking about with vertices. So I'm just wondering, like, when you're explaining, you're talking to the kids about like vertices.
Yeah. So I say vertices. I know I did circle, but like on the other days when we're talking about vertices, I don't even really say, I said corner maybe like once. And then after that, I stuck with vertices because that's a vocabulary word they need to know. And like I even have a hand motion for vertices. So I'm like, okay, how many vertices does this shape have? So I know I did circle, but later on, every time I was like, show me a vertice, they all did this to show that two sides make a vertice.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the word corner like once as like a synonym when I first introduced it, but then after that I stuck with vertice.
Okay, so it's not to say that informal language doesn't have a place, okay? Because sometimes you're trying to help them to understand. But if you're using the informal language without the vocabulary that is connected, that's problematic, right? So you just want to make sure that you're giving kids the actual terms, the mathematical language, the mathematical vocabulary, and don't be afraid to do it. And use those word walls so that they know that these are the words that they should be integrating, into their conversations, into their writing, etc. And those of you that have spiral curriculums, I can see this being somewhat of a challenge because like every day it's like something new, right? So maybe creating multiple, what do you call them? Maybe not bulletin boards, but I guess they can all be on the word wall. I was just trying to think if like, this is about like geometry, and here are words that are related to geometry that we're going to be talking about for the whole month, right? And then number, or whatever. You see what I mean? I would have to try it and see, does it matter that all of these words are listed on our word wall, right? Or would it be more helpful for our multilingual students to actually see Geometry, these are geometric words, right? Addition, these are like addition words. And I don't know which
Like
ones.
you-
I've seen that and it's very effective,
Mhm.
especially for the word problems, when they're
Okay.
reading a word problem and they know that this is a signal word that's gonna let me know that I need to find the sum.
Okay, so you've seen it where they've like separated out the.
They have
Okay.
anchor charts more so, and then they hang the anchor chart up.
Okay, yeah, so maybe doing that, because when I taught everyday math, which is a spiraling curriculum, because they're introducing like new things every day, it's not like, it just seems like it can be complicated to try to help kids keep everything straight. But if you're gonna separate them, maybe that's the way to do
I
it.
think it's an organizational issue.
Yes.
Going back to schema theory, like in English language arts, having word families.
Mm,
So you can do the same in math so that children aren't just learning individual words, but beginning to see the connections and the
Okay.
associations across the words. So that would be, organizing things by themes or
Themes,
families.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like these would be some of our measure words.
Mhm,
right?
measurement, yeah.
Measurement, those are some of our measure words.